The demand for weight loss medication like Ozempic and Wegovy is entering a new stage after the FDA told companies selling an alternative, cheaper form of the drug to shut down production. Here's how we got here. In August 2022, the FDA declared a shortage of Ozempic and Wegovy, which are produced by the pharmaceutical company Novo Nordisk. The shortage was driven by a limited supply of a key ingredient in those drugs, a protein called semaglutide, which helps regulate appetite. So to bridge the shortage, the FDA allowed compounded semaglutides. They basically mimic pharmaceutical drugs by combining ingredients in a pharmacy lab or an outsourcing facility. By the way, they're also typically less expensive. So you may have seen ads for the alternative drugs from companies like Hims and Hers or Noom. Now we fast forward to last week. The FDA said the shortage of Novo Nordisk's drugs was over, and companies making compounded alternatives would have to stop by May at the latest. That led an industry group representing the compounders to sue the FDA. It called the decision reckless and arbitrary, quote, depriving patients of much-needed treatment and artificially raising drug prices. So what options do people have who need these drugs going forward? That's what Dr. Angela Fitch is here to discuss. She has served as the president of the Obesity Medicine Association and is the chief medical officer of Known Well, which seeks to provide weight-inclusive health care to patients. Doctor, good morning.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So how big a deal to you is this FDA ruling?
Well, so we have to take a step back. One of the big issues we have in the United States is obesity as a disease is not covered by most people's insurance. And so the issue is not just about this FDA ruling, but about the fact that we were serving a very large segment of the US population. There's 140 million people that would qualify for treatment in the United States. And we're serving them with a product that is really, substandard, a product that is not the original product that was made by a drug company and researched
Meaning
over a long...
Meaning the compounded product.
The compounded product, yes, the alternative product.
Is it not the same chemically as the Novo Nordisk, Wegovy, and Ozempic?
This is the big thing in the United States that people are not understanding. Patients are not understanding. Because the advertisements say, this is the same active ingredient as Ozempic.
It's like store brand or something.
Says it on the radio, even on the ad, same active ingredient, semaglutide. But the issue is there's no generic semaglutide. There's generic acetaminophen. There's generic Lipitor or atorvastatin, right? There's official generic producers of those compounds because they are generics. There's no generic semaglutide.
What does that mean, though? They can't make it, or they're making a knockoff? I don't get it.
They're making a knockoff. So a smart person in China, most of these come from China, India, and other foreign countries, because you can't legally make the generic product because there's no generic formulary for it, and it's under patent by the drug companies, right? Because drug companies spend billions and billions of dollars and 10 to 15 years to make sure these drugs are safe in the way they're made. And the issue with semaglutide in general, as you mentioned, it's a protein molecule, right? It's a molecule that mimics our own hormone that we have in our body. So it's not like just taking an aspirin where you're getting a chemical that's doing something different to your body. You're actually mimicking your own hormone. And when you're doing that, you want to make sure you get that right? You want to make sure that chemical is exactly right.
Is the compounded version less effective or less healthy?
You don't know. We don't know. So doctors would come to me as president of the Obesity Medicine Association, and we are the association of clinicians who practice obesity medicine. We are celebrating our 75th year this year as an organization. So we've been taking care of people with obesity as a disease for a long time. It's not a new disease. There's certainly more and more people, the rate of obesity is going up. But we have to understand that we have a pandemic amongst us of obesity, and now we have effective treatment in these newer medications. And we really need to figure out how are we going to get them to more Americans, but not by creating sort of cheap knockoffs as our solution.
But if it seems like we should find out whether the cheaper knockoffs are as effective, because the bottom line is once it's out there and we know it can happen and people can take it, and it's been happening under FDA approval for months now, it's hard to put that toothpaste back in the tube.
It is hard. It is hard. And I think, hopefully hopefully we've seen a lot of movement towards really accepting the weight management and the diseases associated with it. It's really about your metabolic health, right? This really isn't about our weight or a number on the scale. It's really about gaining health and gaining added quality of life years to your life. And that's what we're really trying to emphasize, is not just taking something to change your weight.
Does this FDA ruling that we can't have these cheaper alternatives, does that create inequities in terms of what people can afford if now only the Novo Nordisk versions are available, which are more expensive? And then do you have a sense of what the price difference is?
Yeah, so it's extremely complicated in the U.S. because of our drug pricing, right? What's happened recently, just very recently, is that Eli Lilly, who makes a competition to semaglutide, which is called tirzepatide, is another GLP-1 type agent that works on the human body to help regulate our metabolism, right? And so that they have Lilly Direct now. So you can buy it, at least, as a physician, I can send a prescription to Lilly Direct, and consumers can get that now for $4.99. So while it's not the $2.99 or some of the other price points of the compounded products, at least it's cheaper than the $1,000 price point, which is what we have, when we're getting it through our insurance, because there's a 48% increase in there, a markup, because of the way we have our system set up.
$1,000 per prescription?
A month.
A month.
Mm-hmm. But that's because there's this is published data, that there's a 48% markup because we have such a middle system in the United States of drug delivery that doesn't allow for price transparency. Like, we don't actually know what our insurances are paying for that, and the consumers don't know either.
Doctor, thank you so much.
We'll have you back. This is just the beginning of a huge cultural and social and medical change in our country.
Well, let me highlight, next week is Obesity Care Week, and March 4th is World Obesity Day.
Okay, well,
so
thank you, doctor.
Celebrate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see what happens with this lawsuit, too.
Dr. Fitch, thank you very much.